Mike Lombardi, former NFL front office type, gave his thoughts on the Browns team this year as they head into training camp. This from the Pat McAfee Show.
I think Cleveland's a sleeper team here because I think Jim Schwartz will make a difference in their defense. They've got good rushers on the edge. You obviously with Myles Garrett, they get Zadarius Smith. They're going to be better defensively. One thing about a Jim Schwartz defense, go back to Tennessee or even Philadelphia, they make you one-dimensional. You got to throw the ball. He's going to play those wide nines. You can't run bootlegs and nakeds on his team. And they're going to make you have to throw the ball to beat them. And that team, they got first-round picks in their secondary. And I don't think Watson can play as bad as he did. They have a really good offensive line. Nick Chubb's an elite player. I think this is a team, if they don't do dumb things, 4th and inches at their own 25 in the first quarter, go for it. I think, to me, they can be really good.
Petrak, Browns beat reporter for the Elyria Chronicle Telegram as well as brownzone.com. If they don't do dumb things, they can be really, that's it's a backhanded compliment, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds like a shot at Kevin Stefanski to me, and maybe the analytics group in general. Yeah, I think Lombardi's right about a lot of things there. He goes back a long way with Jim Schwartz, right? Schwartz got to start here under Belichick. We know Lombardi and Belichick were tight, so Lombardi was here in the 90s when Belichick and Schwartz were. So I get that connection. And, I think Schwartz is going to have a big improvement. That's what the Browns or be a big improvement. I think that's what the Browns are banking on. And he's right about a lot of that stuff. I think Watson can't play as bad as he did. You like Garrett, you like Zadarius Smith. The one thing I questioned there was, the Schwartz defense wants to attack. And part of me wonders if it is vulnerable to a team that says, hey, we're just going to run it right up the middle because you got your ends wide and you seem kind of maybe light in the box unless you put a bunch of bodies down there. So I don't know if it's automatically makes teams throw the ball. But it would be interesting if they did that because I think that's exactly what the Browns are hoping teams will do.
Yeah, the other thing about it is, like you said, Schwartz defense is attack. It's aggressive. Right there, it has an identity. And I would argue the Browns defense did not have an identity for the last 3 years, probably.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. I think it is important. I don't know exactly how important it is. If you had a bunch of good players and you do a bunch of good things, do you have to say, hey, we're attacking or we're this or that? But I certainly think it's obvious what Schwartz's defense's identity is. And he's not hiding it. Everybody knows it. They're going to attack. They're going to get after the quarterback. And they're going to rotate a bunch of guys up front. They'll probably play a lot of man-to-man. They'll probably put extra people in the box to stop the run and compensate for the defensive lineman just heading up the field. And I think it simplifies things. I do think it gives everybody a sense of comfort and calm knowing this is exactly what we did. And whether that's identity or not, it felt like that was missing too many times under Joe Woods.
Do you think it's the Browns are willing to do that because you're obviously going to give up some big plays? Are you willing to do that because you feel like you have the ability to make big plays now on offense as well with Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Dave. I think it all plays into it. I felt like, especially during those Baker years, right, the Stefanski-Baker years, it felt like, to me, they were trying to manage the game a lot. The coaching staff, right? Kevin would talk about, okay, we thought it would be this kind of game. And if they didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring game, a lot of times they would play close to the vest. And they thought, okay, it's going to come down to one play or come down to the fourth quarter. And I think part of that was they didn't trust Baker to go put up a ton of points, right, and throw the ball all over the field. Well, if you're paying Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed, you better trust him. And I think there's been an organizational shift, and maybe it's not a philosophical shift. Maybe it's just a game plan shift given the supposed upgrade at quarterback, right? Or I believe it's an upgrade. And you'll see the Browns make more big plays. If they get into a shootout, I don't think they're going to freak out. But I think the overall plan is, hey, we're going to be attacking on both sides of the ball, get a lead, and then it's going to be more difficult for teams to come back on us because you can get after the quarterback with Garrett and Smith and Obo and Tomlinson and the rest of that front.